We begin with breaking news. Long Beach police have a possible break in the case of violent assaults against elderly women. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the KTLA News at 1 o'clock. I'm Lou Parker.
And I'm Lou Parker. Police say that they are now interviewing a person of interest.
And at least 5 elderly women have been attacked in the span of a week, including a 90-year-old who says the assailant tried to sexually assault her. KTLA 5's Chris Wolf live in Long Beach now with the very latest. Chris.
Glenn and Lou, this certainly could be a major break in the case of a violent criminal targeting elderly women here in Long Beach. One of those victims, 95 years old. Now, 5 women have been beaten, robbed, and one of them also sexually assaulted. Long Beach police have yet to talk with us in person or go on camera, but the department did tweet this a short time ago. Take a look. Police say, quote, breaking. Robbery series investigation. A person of interest being interviewed. Connection to case yet to be determined. Investigation ongoing. A department spokeswoman later revealed that the person being questioned does indeed match the description of the man authorities have been looking for, shown in surveillance footage from the Carmelitos Senior Housing Complex in Long Beach, where 4 of the attacks took place, including a sexual assault. The victims range in age from 63 to 95. The intruder forced his way into their apartments, beat and then robbed the elderly victims, grabbing purses, cell phones, and cash. The latest case took place in a neighborhood near the senior center, which I reported on yesterday, as viewers may remember. Witnesses say a young black man rode up on a bicycle, rang the doorbell, and when the 90-year-old widow opened her door, he, quote, punched her out, assaulted her, and stole a ring. We later learned from police this was also an attempted sexual assault, but the 90-year-old woman put up quite a fight, and her friends say they believe a medic alert button around her neck, which she activated, may have spooked the man who so brutally harmed her. Now, police had launched a major media and public awareness campaign about this crime wave. Just maybe all of this paid off. Again, a person of interest has been taken into custody and is being questioned as we speak. We'll have much more on this developing story throughout the day. Live in Long Beach, Chris Wolf, KTLA 5 News.
All right, Chris, thank you for that. Let's turn now to the skies with a live look outside. Wet weather is promising to give us a soggy start to the weekend. Yeah,
it's moving in a little slower than expected, and it's promising to make a mess of possibly the evening commute. Kai Goldberg is here with all the details. Hi, Kai.
Hey, Glenn Lou, thank you very much. Yeah, we are seeing anywhere from sprinkles to just a very light shower in the north and northwestern portions of Los Angeles County. The cloud cover continues to roll on into the OC as well as the IE. We're still looking at a little bit of sunshine out there, so the bulk of this storm system not here, not quite yet. Once again, probably for the evening forecast, as we're looking at that atmospheric river staying a little bit further north of us here in Southern California. Up in Santa Barbara, here's where that atmospheric river is indeed taking place. You can see it moving in a northeasterly direction, taking it all the way up towards the Frazier Park area right now. There it is again, Santa Barbara, seeing just some light, widely scattered showers. We're not looking at this storm to be a very big one, but again, we will see some wet streets out there, and those slick roads could make for a pretty dangerous evening commute at times. So keep a little bit of distance between yourself and the car in front of you. Downtown Los Angeles, just seeing again, drizzle, a light shower out to the 405, the Marina Del Rey area. Then we'll go on up into the Antelope Valley, Palmdale, just beginning to see just a little bit of wet weather that's moving towards Lake Los Angeles. And then we're looking at the San Gabriel Valley. Once again, sprinkles for the time being. We're taking a look up into the mountain communities. They're just starting to see a little bit of moisture and precipitation as well. We're also looking at some surf starting to pick up out along the coastal sections, so the high surf advisory in place until tomorrow evening. Let's talk about the wet weather for the remainder of the weekend. I've got your forecast. I will break it down for you a few minutes from now. Glenn and Lou, back to you.
All right, thank you, Kai. Well, the impact of all of this recent wet weather is forcing the closure of a major local traffic artery this weekend. A portion of Laurel Canyon Boulevard will be closed between Kirkwood and Mount Olympus Drives. Crews are working to clear the boulevard where a landslide happened last month. K-rails have been installed along Laurel Canyon Boulevard near the slide area. And traffic is still being impacted. Take a look at this map and you can see drivers are being detoured to Laurel Canyon Road, also known as Little Laurel Canyon. Officials have not said yet when they expect the road to reopen. We, of course, will keep you posted.
And officials at Lake Oroville in Northern California say they will likely have to use an emergency spillway for the first time ever, and it could be as soon as tomorrow. The main spillway broke apart about 2/3 of the way down, and that sent torrents of water out to the sides. Because of storms and snowmelt, Oroville is filling up faster than water is flowing out. Bulldozer crews are frantically trying to clear that area away from brush and trees from an area below the emergency spillway. Now, they are trying to stop debris from clogging a dam downriver. And developing now, backlash is growing from immigrant rights groups after a string of raids by ICE agents.
But immigration officials say the arrests were routine, not part of a new crackdown effort. KTLA 5's Corrine Winter live now in Westlake with more on the raids. Corrine?
Glenn, we saw all the angry protests in downtown Los Angeles last night, while federal immigration officials, they categorize the arrests made this week as routine enforcement activities. They also refute claims that on Thursday, as many as 100 people were detained and taken to the local Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office for possible deportation. CHRLA, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights of Los Angeles, they held a news conference today, and they stand by their claim that about 100 immigrants here in Southern California have been detained this week across the region in counties like San Bernardino and Oxnard. They're trying to alert and assist those families impacted with information on their rights and access to immigration attorneys. There's been a lot of criticism toward federal immigration officials here in the Southland who some immigrant rights groups claim are caving to the new administration with President Trump's position on cracking down on those who reside illegally here in the U.S. Federal immigration officials, they said in a statement, ICE deportation officers conduct enforcement actions every day around the country and here in Southern California as part of the agency's ongoing efforts to uphold public safety and border security. Our operations are targeted and lead-driven, prioritizing individuals who pose a risk to our communities. Examples would include known street gang members, child sex offenders, and deportable foreign nationals with significant drug trafficking convictions. Here's more from families whose loved ones have been detained.
They called me in at 7 a.m. telling me that my father was being deported and he got captured. The reason why I'm standing here is because it wasn't just my dad getting deported. It was someone else that they came to look, and they didn't even have ICE on them.
It's unhealthy when you have children, young children, elementary school age children who are crying because they simply don't know if when their mother drops them off at the curbside at their elementary school, if in fact their mother or their father will be there in the afternoon to pick them up. That is un-American.
And some local law enforcement agencies have vowed not to take part in these federal immigration sweeps. We're live in Westlake. Corrine Winter, KTLA 5 News.
And foreign policy is center stage at the White House today as President Trump hosts the Prime Minister of Japan. Now, the two leaders will be talking all weekend about security and economic cooperation, but there are also questions about the administration's relationship with Russia. Scott McLean has more.
Strong hands.
On the day President Trump shared a firm handshake with the Japanese Prime Minister, some White House foreign policy positions seem to be softening.
Thank you very much.
In a call with Chinese President Xi Jinping, Trump promised to uphold the One China policy that recognizes Taiwan as a part of China. Trump had previously suggested the policy was negotiable.
It was a very, very warm conversation. I think we are on the process of getting along very well.
On Russia, the Washington Post and New York Times are reporting that National Security Advisor Michael Flynn discussed President Obama's sanctions on Russia with that country's ambassador before he was in office.
Flynn's message from that phone call was, don't retaliate against these sanctions, don't overreact, whatever's done can be undone.
According to his spokesman, Flynn has no recollection of discussing sanctions, but couldn't be certain the topic never came up. Russia is denying sanctions were discussed. Critics say that phone call may have broken the law. If the Post's reporting is true, it could contradict UN Ambassador Nikki Haley's vow to keep sanctions in place as long as Russia is still in Ukraine, and even what the vice president said last month.
Those conversations that happened to occur around the time that the United States took action to expel diplomats had nothing whatsoever to do with those sanctions.
A White House source says Pence believes the contradiction is a problem and was trying to get to the bottom of it. In Washington, Scott McLean, KTLA 5 News.
White House advisor Kellyanne Conway could be in legal trouble. It's over an on-air plug that she made yesterday for Ivanka Trump's clothing line.
It's a wonderful line. I own some of it. I'm going to give a free commercial here. Go buy it today, everybody. You can find it online.
Conway's comment came after some department stores decided to pull Ivanka's clothing line. Federal law says that public employees may not use their positions to endorse products, services, or enterprise, or for the gain of friends or family. Lawmakers from both parties are now calling for an ethics investigation. According to the White House, Conway has been counseled, and she had no further comment on the issue during a follow-up interview.
Still to come here on the 1 o'clock, President Trump says repealing Obamacare is a high priority.
But with more than 16 million people using the Affordable Care Act coverage, it's a big undertaking. Up next, a closer look at how health care is changing and its impact on you.
Also ahead, how much sex is too much or not enough? Scientists say they know the ratio that makes the happiest relationships.
And a little later, get ready for today's Medieval Anchor Challenge. It is your chance to win 6 free dinner tickets along with a show.
And ahead on the news at 3 o'clock, a courtroom outburst to see where a defendant snapped and started tossing chairs. We'll be right back.
Shop all the latest styles at Living Space's President's Day event, where you'll find unbeatable deals for your entire home. Plus, pay no interest for 2 years on select purchases with your good credit, but only for a limited time at the Living Space's President's Day event.
You know how painful heartburn can be. For fast-acting, long-lasting relief, try doctor-recommended Gaviscon. It quickly neutralizes stomach acid and helps keep acid down for hours. Relieve heartburn with fast-acting, long-lasting Gaviscon.
With your support, we created jobs. We raised the minimum wage, and we cut our city's business taxes and passed a tax credit, bringing film jobs back to LA. I led and won the fight to pass ballot measures to reduce homelessness and to cut that traffic congestion that plagues our lives and our city. And as always, we worked hard to keep our communities safe. Together, we've made progress. Together, we can make a lot more.
Eric Garcetti for mayor on March 7th, getting the job done for LA.
Now, more than ever, we need dance to express what words cannot. Now, more than ever, we need dance to bring us together. It's why we say, you don't just see an Ailey performance, you feel it. Discover new works and revisit audience favorites that feel especially relevant now, including the timeless masterpiece, Revelations. Now, more than ever, you need to experience Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. Brought to you by Gloria Kaufman Presents Dance at the Music Center, March 8th through 12th. Get tickets at musiccenter.org.
What's our Shakey's time? Lunchtime.
Right now, get a handcrafted 9-inch pepperoni pizza for just $5.99. Served Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. 9 inches, 8 slices, $5.99. Shakey's. Share the good times.
Tonight on the CW, the final season of Reign begins. 2 queens.
Harriet is my enemy.
1 throne.
I need power.
A kingdom awaits.
We are not just rulers, we are pawns in a much larger game.
Reign.
Tonight at 9 on KTLA 5.
And we are following breaking news now out of North Carolina. This is the scene of a school bus crash in a rural area northwest of Charlotte. These are live images that you're looking at here. We know at least one person is dead and several others injured. No information yet, though, on the victims or if any children were on board. Eyewitnesses there say a car crossed the center line and the bus driver attempted to avoid that crash. We will continue to monitor this scene and update you as new information comes into our newsroom.
New at 1 o'clock, Health and Human Services nominee Tom Price was sworn in today, and that is another step closer for the Trump administration to roll back Obamacare.
Price is a staunch critic of the Affordable Care Act, and now there's more questions over its future. Karen Kafa reports.
President Trump campaigned on making a longtime Republican refrain reality.
This election is about the people being crushed by Obamacare.
Obamacare is a catastrophe.
The horrible disaster known as Obamacare.
So the GOP-controlled Congress moved quickly toward making repeal reality. And on the day he took office, Trump signed an executive order directing agencies to start interpreting the law in a way that minimized its costs. But since then, Republican lawmakers have alternated between repeal and replace, repeal and delay, and repeal and repair, even as the president exhibits little patience in other policy areas.
The president, I think, is very encouraged by the commitment and work that's going on the Hill to make sure that we get this thing replaced as quick as possible.
Republicans are finding that dismantling the complex law is a tall order with potentially wide-reaching consequences, something Democrats note often.
This isn't just about the economics, lowering the cost and all the rest, and it's not just about the 20 million people.
The confirmation of Trump's Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price gives Republicans an opportunity to make some progress toward those goals. Trump's Day 1 executive order gives Secretary Price some leeway in interpreting the law's regulations and chip away at it within legal boundaries until Congress makes its next moves.
We are going to be done legislating with respect to health care and Obamacare this year. The question is, how long does it take to implement the full replacement of Obamacare?
Both parts of the timeline may reveal rifts within the party. Debates over speed, debates over what to keep from Obamacare, debates over just how much to gut, and especially what to replace it with. House Speaker Paul Ryan hopes to move legislation as early as this spring. Vice President Mike Pence has been a key liaison with Hill Republicans, bringing back status updates to the White House. But even if the president indicates acceptance of a longer timeline, some Republicans, lawmakers, and constituents may get restless. In Washington, Karen Kafa, KTLA 5 News.
All right. Boy, what a difference between the blue skies over the Capitol we just saw and this here at home. Is this going to ruin the weekend, Kai?
No, you know what? It's going to be an interesting system. It's not a big, heavy storm system. We're not looking at huge amounts of rain, lightning, thunder, so none of that. But we will see some slick streets, especially Glenn Lewis. We make our way home from work this afternoon and evening. The streets will get slick, but again, not too dangerous. So I'm not concerned. We're not looking forward to any mudslides, debris slides, strong winds. It will not, once again, be a stormy day. But nonetheless, we are still looking at the clouds rolling on in. We're looking at a little bit of moisture starting to push in to Southern California. The majority and the bulk of the energy with this atmospheric river, as you can see with our 5 Live Max Doppler, staying just a little bit to the north of us right now, really into Santa Barbara and Ventura County. You can see it. But this system, as it approaches Point Conception and starts to make its way in towards Ventura and Los Angeles County over the next hour and two, is going to really start to die down. It doesn't have a lot of lift in terms of helping a lot of that moisture make its way to the ground. We're still, though, again, looking at some widely scattered light sprinkles and maybe a pop-up shower here and there. You can see out towards Riverside, just to the southeast near Temecula along the 215. They're seeing a little bit of some more moderate activity. Then we'll take a look here into the Santa Monica Bay out towards Marina Del Rey into the Brentwood area. Again, streets a little bit slick, also up into the Santa Clarita Valley right now. But I can tell you, nothing to really focus on, nothing to pinpoint on with some any heavy nor moderate rainfall with your 5 Live Max Doppler. So that's the shot we have for you so far. Temperature-wise, of course, we're a little cooler today with the lack of sunshine. We've got 63 into Camarillo, Corona right now. 61 will go out the coast into the Avalon area. The Santa Catalina also looking at some low 60s. So we do have a chance for some light to some moderate rainfall throughout the remainder of the day and into the overnight periods. Tomorrow, Saturday morning, partly cloudy skies, and you're going to say, oh, great, we're done, over with. But we do have some wraparound moisture, and that could give us some rainfall chances as we make our way into your Saturday Saturday afternoon and evening forecast. So we're not done with it today, but I can assure you by Sunday we are out of the woods in terms of wet weather, and we're looking forward to conditions becoming more dry. We will, however, see some Santa Ana winds start to move in late Sunday and into Monday. Here's the look at that futurecast as we push through the remainder of the afternoon. That bulk of the energy that I showed you that's in Santa Barbara County right now makes its way to our area, Los Angeles County, by about 3:30, 4 o'clock this afternoon. You see again, look at how quickly it just falls apart, dissipating. Nonetheless, though, still showers into Orange County, Riverside County, San Bernardino County through the evening and into the overnight hours. Tomorrow morning here, once again, partly to mostly cloudy skies. But watch this wraparound effect start to take place. You can see it coming in from the easterly direction. There it is. Some pop-up showers into 3, 4, 5 o'clock tomorrow evening, all the way throughout LA County, especially some of those foothill sections. I think I'm going to leave Orange County out of that situation, but we will once again see some rainfall continuing to push in as we head towards tomorrow afternoon. So PM showers for your Saturday, 64, but look at Sunday, beautiful, 10 degrees warmer downtown at 74. We continue with those temperatures into the 70s all the way through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and take a look. By Friday, a week from today, next week, we see another storm system beginning to approach Southern California. So our wet pattern, once we make our way through today as well as tomorrow on Saturday with temperatures into the 60s, is not quite over yet. We will have a break for most of the work week before we turn our attention to next Friday, Glenn Lou, as we look at the 7-day here in the Inland Empire, where we're looking at temperatures getting cooler, and we've got more shower chances that could linger for not only Friday, but into the next weekend forecast as well.
Nothing can ruin our weekend.
Nothing.
Nothing. Thank you, Kai. All right, we have today's top health stories straight ahead.
Including some new research on how much sex makes for a healthy relationship. Well, we're teasing the heck out of that one, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
We're going to share the results straight ahead.
Plus, new evidence about the dangers of work stress, how to avoid taking it out on the ones we love. When the KTLA 5 News at 1 returns on this sort of rainy Friday.
If you've been turned down for a mortgage because of credit or tax return issues, Cash Call Mortgage now has credit and income-solving mortgages with no closing costs. Just call 877-890-CASH and we'll work with you to find a solution to your mortgage issues.
The #1 choice for your full kitchen and bath remodel is the #1 dealer, LA Carpet. Now get 65% off full kitchen and bathroom remodels with 5 years, 0% financing.
LA Carpet, #1 for you.
The Jewelry Exchange has solitaires for $9.90 per carat. 1 carat certified, $18.90. Plus thousands of GIA diamonds guaranteed the lowest price. Hundreds of designer settings from $199 set while you watch. Plus no interest for 1 year. The Jewelry Exchange, Tustin.
We call what you're experiencing communication issues. Tiffany, why did you dookie on Eric's pillow? She needs a better smelling litter box.
Susan?
And stronger clumps.
We both want those things.
What you both want is cat's pride.
Cats are complicated. Great litter is simple. Look for Ultimate Care in the green jug.
Free specialized phones are available to Californians who have difficulty hearing, seeing, moving, speaking, or remembering. No income requirements, no hidden fees. To apply for this state program, call 1-800-330-5100 or download an application, fill out the first section, ask your doctor to sign, then mail, fax, or email your form. You may be eligible for a free specialized phone. Visit californiaphones.org or call 1-800-330-5100.
Saturday, don't miss the Best Vacations Guide featuring some great destinations to consider when booking your next getaway. Brought to you by Scenic, Luxury Cruises and Tours. The Best Vacations Guide, Saturday at 4:30 on KTLA 5.
It's the Ortho Mattress President's Day sale. Our best-selling Ortho, Beauty Rest, and Serta mattress sets are now 50% off. Our Doctor Preferred mattress sets are now $199 each piece, any size.
Visit any of our 65 locations and get 5 years no-interest financing.
For a limited time, get free delivery on products featuring Cool Quilt or Entice.
And for a limited time, Ortho Mattress will pay the sales tax for you. It's the Ortho Mattress President's Day sale, and it's only at Ortho Mattress.
Juliet Diamond, the biggest, sparkliest, utterly ridiculously rarest colored diamond ever. The exhibit now on view, Diamonds, Rare Brilliance, at the Natural History Museum. Tickets available at nhm.org.
The #1 choice for carpet and more is the #1 dealer, LA Carpet. Now, porcelain tile is only $149 a square foot, and carpet is now just 99 cents a square foot with 5 years 0% financing.
LA Carpet, #1 for you.
A new study appears to show that vegetarians can build muscle mass just as effectively as those who consume meat. The study, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, found that plant protein and animal protein appear to benefit muscle health equally. Researchers say protein helps repair and build muscle. They also found that, in general, eating protein is related to better muscle health, and this becomes especially important in middle and later in life.
And stress at work can often roll over to become stress at home, but you may be able to avoid by working out and then getting more sleep. A study in the Journal of Applied Psychology found people who burned more calories on a daily basis by doing things like the equivalent of a long walk or possibly a swim were less likely to take out their anger about work issues on people they lived with. Researchers also found that when employees felt they had a bad night's sleep because of work issues, they were more likely to be grouchy at home.
A new study revealing details about how often couples have sex. Researchers at the University of Toronto surveyed 30,000 American couples over a 40-year period. They found that couples who have sex once a week are the happiest, but experts say the amount of sex isn't as important as understanding your partner's needs. They suggest scheduling intimate time just like you would anything else. If a partner is still not matching another's sexual needs, they say probably need to go see a counselor. There you go. I need to clarify something real quick. Apparently, at the top of this newscast, I introduced myself as Lou Parker. Fortunately, Glenn Walker sitting next to me straightened me out.
I did. Hey, it happens. It's Friday.
I make fun of people doing that all the time, and finally,
you did it after all
at this point in my
years.
career, I did it. Wow, unbelievable.
It was awesome. All right, more of your top stories coming up next.
Including a closer look at the winter storm that is settling in. Alina Bovian is live in Ventura County. Alina.
Hey there, guys. Well, it is raining nice and steady out here in Ventura County. Coming up next, we'll give you a live look at the conditions right now and what you can expect for the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's right. Up in Ventura, Santa Barbara, a little bit of that shower activity happening. Or we're going to see a little bit more here as we head towards Hollywood into Orange County, the Inland Empire. We've got it broken down for you. We'll have it all and that much more coming up soon.
I'm Michael Ullman. If you're an Arby's customer, you got something to worry about. Now, make that 2 things to worry about. Coming up next.
Make me cry, you say you're gonna leave. You know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die. Well,
you inherit lots of traits from your family. My ancestor, Lady Eleanor, made it big in textiles. My great-grandfather Bernard wrote existential poetry, and Uncle John was an explorer. I inherited their can-do spirit and their double chin. Now I'm going to do something about it.
Kybella is the first of its kind injectable treatment that destroys fat under the chin, leaving an improved profile. Kybella is an FDA-approved non-surgical treatment for adults with a moderate amount of fullness, or a bit more. Don't receive Kybella if you have an infection in the treatment area. Kybella can cause nerve injury in the jaw, resulting in an uneven smile, or facial muscle weakness and trouble swallowing. Tell your doctor about all medical conditions, including if you have had or plan to have surgery or cosmetic treatments on your face, neck, or chin, have had or have medical conditions in or near your neck, or have bleeding problems. Tell your doctor about all medicines you take. The most common side effects are swelling, bruising, pain, numbness, redness, and areas of hardness in the treatment area. Save $100 on a treatment. Learn more at mykybella.com.
Need more 4G LTE data? Now with Boost Mobile, add a line for $25 and get 10 gigs of high-speed data per line. With Metro PCS, when you add a line, you pay $30 and only get 8 gigs of high-speed data.
Oh, man.
Sorry, Metro PCS. Switch to Boost and get more high-speed data and save $5 a month on our crazy fast nationwide network. Plus, when you switch today, you can get up to 5 free Samsung Galaxy phones. Visit a Boost Mobile store today.
There are 5 days of the week. Friday, 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 and everyone's favorite, Friday. Sizzle, pork, and
A new garage door from Mesa can be yours for as low as $6.99. Call right now and I'll knock off another $200, and doors start as low as $4.99. I'll even include the installation sales tax and bottom seal free. For the next 11 callers, I'll upgrade you to our world-exclusive Silent Glide door. Our proprietary door system is 60% quieter than its closest competitor. That's a $1,500 value, all for only $499. Call now.
For everything they love to do and everything you need to do, introducing Simply Done. From save-the-day cleanup to everyday storage, Simply Done offers you the quality you need at the prices you want on the products you can't live without. So pick up the new go-to for whatever life throws at you and be Simply Done.
Available at Stater Brothers, where you always get more for less.
As promised, wet weekend weather is now moving in, and the slow-moving storm is promising to make for a slippery afternoon commute. Topping the news at 1:30, this is the latest in a string of storms making a big impact here in the Southland.
Yeah, it's great for our drought, but tough on our roads and hillsides. We do have team coverage this afternoon. Kai Goldberg is tracking the storm's power and movement.
But we start with Alina Abovian. She is live in Ventura County, where it usually hits before it hits here. Alina?
Hey there, guys. Yeah, just a drizzle right now, but it has been light and steady for the most part today. And this is exactly the kind of rain that we want, the kind of rain that we need when it comes to combating the drought conditions. Right now, this is a live look at the Ventura Pier. As you can see, pretty calm, pretty serene. Just a few people out for a walk, taking in this taking in the wet weather today. It is certainly nice enough to be out without an umbrella. We have seen many people heading for lunch, taking a break from work. This is nothing like the previous storms we just had, where it was even difficult to drive or to be out. No lightning, no thunder, just a steady stream of light showers. We're expecting up to about ½ inch of rain for the LA and Ventura counties, and just a little more in the foothills and mountain areas where there is a warning regarding possible debris flow, especially in the recent burn areas. Now, this storm started overnight and is likely to carry through the rest of the day, though for people out here in Ventura, they certainly do not seem to mind it.
Wonderful for walking, yeah. Took my umbrella, but you know, this is great. I won't melt.
Enjoying it quite a bit. Get some good rain, which we need a lot of the water and stuff. Then it kind of breaks for a while. We get some sunshine and get to enjoy that, and then it started raining again. So.
Now back out here live, you can see the surf is pretty mellow as well. No major advisories to report about. And again, just a nice light drizzle. Judging from these clouds, it looks like the wet weather is going to stick around for the most part of the day. Though for those who love it, this is certainly the kind of rainy day to enjoy. Live in Ventura County, I'm Lena Abovian. Luke, Glenn, we'll send it back to you guys.
Alina, thank you. Makes for a cozy night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right?
Boy, it's chilly at the beach.
Oh, yeah.
It's not too bad.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
No, it's really not too bad. She wasn't bundled up there. Temperatures into the 60s, really. So it's a warmer system is what we're looking at. It's basically the continuation of the atmospheric river, which means sort of a subtropical flow that's taking place for us here in the Southland. You saw Alina up in Ventura County seeing some sprinkles. And here in Los Angeles County, this is a great looking live shot. We're here in our Hollywood camera looking towards downtown Los Angeles. The cloud cover definitely out there. The rainfall, the more moderate rainfall, not here in Los Angeles County, not yet, nor is it in Orange County or the Inland Empire. Still, once again, the main portion of the energy staying just to the north of us, and we're just starting to see the cell opening up as we make our way towards Kern County. There's Fraser Park, the Metzler area up the 99, the 5 freeway. That's where they're seeing some more moderate rainfall. And then we're seeing a little bit more of that prefrontal moisture opening up throughout the basin. LA, downtown Los Angeles, again, moderate all the way out towards Santa Monica, and a little bit of some scattered showers along our mountain foothills. More on the way. We'll go through everything you need to know. Talk about if it's going to be a wet weekend coming up in a couple of minutes from now. Glenn Lou, back to you.
Kai, thank you. And the biggest snowstorm of the season has hit the northeastern U.S., dropping up to 2 feet of snow over parts of New England. At least one person, unfortunately, has died from the storm. A man in Manhattan died after falling downstairs while shoveling snow. And it's just going to get worse for them, apparently. Another storm coming to the area later this weekend is expected to be far more potent. Travel remains difficult with whiteout conditions as well as blowing and drifting snow.
On Wall Street, yet another record high for the Dow. It gained 97 points to finish at 20,269. Time now for Consumer Confidential with LA Times columnist David Lazarus.
David, I mean...
Come on, bring it on. Come on, bring it on. I can take it.
No, too easy. It's too easy, I'm telling you. I'm not going to go for the easy shot. I'm going to go from downtown for the three.
All right, well, let's go ahead and talk some business then. Arby's looking into a possible credit card breach at some of the restaurants. What happened?
Yeah, and as if, you know, dining at Arby's wasn't adventurous enough to begin with. John Stewart, thank you. Now, yeah, indeed, it looks like over 350,000 Arby's customers' credit and debit card info might have gotten out. This, according to a security expert that found the breach, alerted Arby's, and Arby's, for its part, says they've alerted the police. They are investigating, but beyond that, they're not saying much. But apparently what happened was some malware got into the Arby's computer system, allowing any swiping of plastic to then be grabbed by hackers. And of course, once the numbers get out into the ether, they can make their way usually to Europe, to Russia, and before you know it, there's a whole lot of fraud taking place. There's a couple of things here. First of all, if you're an Arby's customer, or any customer, make sure that you're looking after your debit and credit card statements very closely. You've got to watch your back in this day and age. You might also consider credit watches, credit freezes, other such things to protect yourself. But second of all, and this is the most important thing, and I've written about this in my column, it is nuts that major companies aren't encrypting our personal data. They say, well, it's too expensive, it's too time consuming, but here's the reality. Their systems are obviously vulnerable to attacks, and every time they do get attacked, because the information is unencrypted, that just puts us all in peril. If there are any lawmakers listening, hello, this is something that you might want to consider. Encrypt all data held for commercial purposes.
Okay. Meantime, down the street, you could say McDonald's is getting crappy.
You could say that. So sounds like a little something out of SpongeBob SquarePants. Nevertheless, Arby's losing, McDonald's gaining, in this case gaining a snow crab sandwich. And I know if you're like me, you're thinking, wait a minute, McDonald's, snow crab's pretty good, it's pretty expensive. How do they do this? I have no idea. Nevertheless, several McDonald's outlets up in the Bay Area, I think down in the South Bay near San Jose, are going to be experimenting with the snow crab sandwich, which is basically crab meat plus celery plus mayo plus lettuce, and you know, they're going to put it all together and you get a crab sandwich. I don't know how they do it at their price point, but they're doing it, and they say if it catches on here, maybe it'll spread elsewhere. I imagine it will. Question though, how does this affect the filet-o-fish sandwich? Is that too much fishy stuff on the menu, or is there room for more? Moreover, also in the South Bay, McDonald's introduced Gilroy garlic fries. Did they ever make it down here? I'm not sure they did. I'm not sure if I saw any, but let's face it, if they're going to be doing garlic fries up there, bring it on. I want to see. Come on.
One thing you say about McDonald's, the fries are good.
I was going to say any kind of fries.
So
good.
put some garlic on them.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They know fries at McDonald's.
And it's Friday fries, hopefully. Hey, a British company that makes various household products apparently buying an American baby formula maker. First of all, why and how will that affect us here in the United States?
And those are all fair questions, Lou, but the more interesting thing is, how is this a part of their business plan? And what we're talking about is a British company named Reckitt Benckiser. You probably never heard of them. I hadn't either. But these are the guys who own the Lysol brand. They own the Dr. Scholl's brand. So they have a lot of things. Now here's the thing. They also own the Durex condom brand. And now it gets interesting because they're making an $18 billion play for Mead Johnson, which makes Enfamil baby formula. Okay, now stop and think. They make condoms on the one hand, and they're going to be selling baby formula on the other. So either the condoms are questionable in terms of their value, or these guys are thinking, you know what, we need a plan B. What if people are thinking of expanding their family? They're not going to be going to the Durex condom aisle. We better be prepared for anything. And that just strikes me as having a diversified portfolio, and that's just good business.
Well, you know, if one product doesn't work, there's always another.
Right? Total plan B.
Yeah.
5 at the same time. Are you going to be on the 3 o'clock today?
You are darn tootin' I'm going to be on the 3 o'clock today, but I'm still looking around for just the right topic. I'm thinking it might be Sears. Their stock went through the roof today. I'll tell you why, probably.
Okay, great. Thanks, David. We'll see you then.
Oh, I think there's somebody wants to buy him. He was talking about that yesterday.
Oh.
All right, today's entertainment news is straight ahead.
It's Grammy weekend here in Los Angeles, and we've got a preview of this year's moments to watch for. That's coming up right after the break.
Plus, late night comedy is cashing in on the Trump administration, how the new president is helping a rating surge when KTLA 5 News at 1 returns.
Diamonds, the jewelry exchange, has 2-carat solitaires for $19.90, certified 2-carat for $59.90, 3-carat rings for $69.90, and most sizes and grades of GIA diamonds, all with a low price guarantee. Buy direct. The Jewelry Exchange, Tustin.
You were so right about the prices in there. I'm getting 2 new pairs of glasses.
Without overpaying, like you would most everywhere else.
I know. 2 pairs of glasses and a free eye exam for just $69.95. You gotta tell more people about this. I'd be shouting it from the rooftops.
Would you?
It's a metaphor.
Is it? 2 pairs and a free exam for $69.95. It's not just a better deal, it's America's best.
Time Warner Cable is now Spectrum, redefining what a cable company can be, giving you the power to turn any night into a movie night with over 200 channels available in stunning HD and thousands of titles free on demand, all for $29.99 a month when you call 844-349-2999. Plus, get the freedom to surf, stream, post, and game from all your devices with Spectrum Internet, delivering the fastest starting speeds, 100 megabits per second, with no data caps and a free modem. Just $29.99 a month. Then, connect with family and friends near and far with unlimited nationwide calling and unlimited calling to Canada, Puerto Rico, and Mexico with no added taxes or fees. Get Spectrum Voice for just $29.99 a month when you call 844-349-2999. All with no contracts and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get the power of Spectrum. Call 844-349-2999.
One Pollo, the best tasting chicken. JUANPOLLO.com.
Start your week with Money Monday on the KTLA 5 Morning News.
Just join us at 5 a.m. and you could win $500.
Then real roads, no gas.
You wonder, could I be stopped in traffic like this and totally run out of juice?
Rich DeMuro's all-electric road trip, Monday. It's time for everyone's favorite game.
They could have died out there. The sea is a harsh mistress, and you're a moron.
2.5 Men weeknights at 7 and 7:30 on KTLA 5.
Topic entertainment news. The Grammys take center stage this weekend, but it looks like next year's show will have a New York state of mind. The Grammys will reportedly move to New York City for its 2018 ceremony. LA has hosted the award show since 2004. Before that, it was actually in New York for several years. Some sources say the program is being displaced by next year's NBA All-Star Game at Staples Center, where the Grammys are usually held. We're told the move to New York will be temporary.
And anyone who has watched James Corden's carpool karaoke segments knows he loves to sing. But Corden promises he won't hit any notes while hosting this weekend's Grammys. And why should he, when divas like Beyonce and Adele will be competing for titles like Best Song and Album of the Year? From Adele to Beyonce. The Grammy Awards honor the biggest names in music, and 2017 is no exception.
It is the Vatican, sort of the music business and of music entertainment. There really isn't any bigger award to win.
Beyonce leads the charge with 9 nominations, including Song of the Year, Record of the Year, and the night's most competitive prize, Album of the Year. The singer's latest collection, Lemonade, faces off against Adele's 25, Justin Bieber's Purpose, Drake's Views, and Sturgill Simpson's A Sailor's Guide to Earth for the trophy.
It seems like it's going to be a big face-off between Adele and Beyonce.
The Grammys are also known for creating household names. Best New Artist contenders, Kelsey Ballerini, The Chainsmokers, Chance the Rapper, Maren Morris, and Anderson .Paak may become the evening's major success stories.
There's any number of artists who could have a big night and, enjoy a big bump in sales, in attention, in streams due to their performance.
Awards aren't the only thing on deck at the Grammys. Expect some big collaborations. Lady Gaga with Metallica and The Weeknd with Daft Punk are just a few of the duets.
Pop, pop, it's showtime!
Late night host James Corden will handle MC duties. The carpool karaoke star will likely provide some musical entertainment as well.
With James Corden, you're getting more of what Billy Crystal was to the Oscars, or at least potentially that, because he can sing and dance and he's a comedian.
Expect enough music and mayhem to uphold the Grammys' reputation as music's biggest night. And make sure to watch KTLA on Sunday. Doug Kolk will be live from the red carpet to bring you everything you want to see at that event.
Late night comedy is proving to be a big winner under the new Trump administration in Washington, and no show is cashing in more than Saturday Night Live.
I love the press. I respect the press. Let's take another question from the press.
Hi, yeah, I'm from BuzzFeed. And
No, not you, BuzzFeed. You're a failing pile of garbage, and you want to know why? Because I took your quiz yesterday, and I'll tell you right now, I am not a Joey, I am a Rachel. What are you guys talking about?
The NBC sketch comedy series is enjoying its highest ratings in 22 years, thanks in part to Alec Baldwin's portrayal of President Trump. The show is averaging 10.6 million viewers, a 22% jump compared to last year.
Mr. Trump. I'm here to swallow gum, and I'm here to take nades.
The show's latest skit showing Melissa McCarthy as Press Secretary Sean Spicer proved to be quite popular. Last week's episode reportedly nabbed a 2.5 rating in the key demographic of adults ages 18 to 49. And here's another potential ratings boost if it actually happens. Rosie O'Donnell has transformed herself into White House Chief Strategist Steve Bannon in hopes of portraying him on SNL. She switched out her Twitter profile picture, showing her face photoshopped over Bannon's face and shoulders. And actress Christine Baranski is also pitching an appearance on Saturday Night Live. She wants to parody Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos. She told Vanity Fair, quote, "I can play people with whom I drastically disagree."
I always forget to record that on Saturday night.
Oh, really?
I'm going to try to do it this week. I always forget. All right, it's Friday, and it's a little rainy, but we're still happy.
Yeah, it's not that bad, and I've been saying all along, and I've been forecasting this week that this is not going to be a big, bad storm, so nothing really to worry about. We will, however, at times, once we make our way through the 3, 4, and 5 o'clock hours, really your drive time home, start to see some more moderate and more consistent shower activity coming to the Southland. There's a good look at the airport right now. Cloudy skies. A little patchy bit of drizzle, but once again, that's about it as the atmospheric river continues to stay up near San Luis Obispo County into Santa Barbara County as well. Here's a close look as we make our way towards Kern County. There's Bakersfield as we make our way down the 5 towards Fraser Park. Mettler, you can see again, here's that moderate shower activity that's taking place, and it takes place all the way down towards the Ojai Valley area. And you can see it's moving in a northeasterly direction, a little bit further to the southeast. We're looking towards downtown Los Angeles, all the way through Glendale, portions of La Cañada, Flint Ridge, as well as the Monrovia area. They're seeing a little bit of some, once again, light showers. But look at offshore right now. I showed you basically the hot spots that are on land, but as we take a look offshore, here's the Channel Islands, so you know where we are geographically. And then look at that big swath of moisture. That moisture plume is what will come our way as we take a look at the future cast into about the 3 and 4 o'clock hour. There you see the timestamp. And once again, you saw that moisture plume looks pretty strong at this very moment, but it really weakens as it makes its way onto land. Here's a look at the evening hours, 9, 10 o'clock tonight. A little bit more of that wet weather moving into Orange County, Riverside, San Bernardino County. You're getting into the mix as well. There's Fraser Park, still seeing some pretty consistent rainfall taking place there as well. Los Angeles, Ventura, Santa Barbara County. As we take a look towards tomorrow morning, well, things start to settle down a little bit, but not for long. We have what we call wrap-around moisture. It's a low-pressure system. It moves in a counterclockwise direction, and as it does move in a southeasterly direction, we're going to see the backside of that low providing some showers. Look at that. They move right back in once again. By tomorrow afternoon and evening, we could even see a pop-up thunderstorm. This is the Ventura County area. Maybe Simi Valley, Moore Park. You could see some rainfall coming your way again. That's tomorrow, Saturday afternoon and evening, and that rainfall continues into the San Gabriel Valley all the way out towards San Bernardino County, maybe the Ontario area, as well as Rancho Cucamonga. So once again, that wet weather continues to spin out of here, but finally it does give us dry conditions as we make our way in towards Sunday. So Sunday morning, look at that. We start the day off with plenty of sunshine. We continue the drying spell as we push on into the beginning of next week, looking for temperatures to rise once we make our way through a fairly showery afternoon tomorrow and Saturday to the sunshine and mid-70s for Sunday and Monday. Partly cloudy Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Nice conditions next week, by the way. Perfect. We're dry until we get to Friday. So a week from today, we see another storm system that's lining up into northern California. That Glen Lou could give us some rainfall here. Look at the mountains. We're not seeing a great deal of snow coming our way. Snow levels really high at about 8,000 feet, but by tomorrow dropping to about 4,000 feet. So that gives us a real light shot at some moisture there. So we'll talk about that coming up at the 3 o'clock hour.
All right, thank you, Kai. But we still have Anchor Challenge.
We do.
And speaking of, it's happening next, that Anchor Challenge.
That's right. We are putting your knowledge of medieval times to the test. 6 free dinners and a show up for grabs. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Sizzler Steak Seafood Salad Sizzler.
Hey, it's your appetite. It's getting near Valentine's Day. That time of year when everyone longs to hear those 3 little words that mean so much. Steak and lobster. Mmm, Sizzler. Love at first bite.
Hey, what's up with your game?
No game today. I blew my knee out at work.
That is a pretty bad limp. What'd you do about it?
I did the smart thing. I called Legal Options.
Legal Options. I heard about them.
Yeah, they get it done when it comes to accidents and things like that. They're the experts.
If you've been seriously injured, you've got options. Call Legal Options at 1-800-777-7774.
Legal Options, huh? I remember that.
Book your family vacation now at Legoland.com. Legoland, awesome awaits.
I've struggled with my weight since I was 9 years old. But when I walked into Lean for Life, I knew they had an answer. I got pretty excited.
Lean for Life by Lindora Clinic is more than a diet. It's a medically based weight loss program that gives you the tools and support to make lasting changes. For 45 years, we've taught people the skills to live lean for life. Call now. We can help you.
It is a completely new way of thinking.
Call right now. You'll get 45% off. Call 1-800-LINDORA right now.
At AT&T, we believe in access, the opportunity for everyone to explore a digital world, connecting with the things that matter most. And because nothing keeps us more connected than the internet, we've created Access from AT&T. California households with at least one resident who receives SNAP or SSI benefits may qualify for home internet at a discounted rate of $10 a month. No commitment, deposit, or installation fee. Visit att.com/access now to learn more.
It's the flooring sale you've been waiting for. Empire Today's half-price sale. Get $2,400 of flooring for $1,200. $5,200 for an amazing $2,600. That's half the price of your entire purchase. Shop for carpet, hardwood, tile, vinyl, and laminate right from home and have it professionally installed. Don't miss Empire's half-price sale. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
We have some breaking news in Northern California. You're looking at a live scene in Elk Grove, which is about 20 minutes south of Sacramento. A train derailment on this train track, which runs over a river whose banks have swelled. Not quite sure if that had anything to do with this derailment, but we understand at least 17 train cars right now have been derailed, and as you see, some of them submerged in the river.
And of course, we don't have any information as of right now about injuries or possible casualties, but we'll keep our eye on this and we'll bring you more information in our 3 o'clock newscast.
And along with that, more coming up on the KTLA 5 News at 3.
Chaos in the courtroom, what prompted a defendant to start tossing chairs.
Plus new details and new video of a violent robbery in Glendora. More on the victim dragged by his vest, stuck in the getaway car.
And the Voice judge and Maroon 5 singer Adam Levine talks about getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's all ahead on the KTLA 5 News that starts at 3 o'clock.
All right, it's time now for the KTLA News Anchor Challenge. Our contestant is Mark Hutchison from Riverside. Mark, how you doing today?
Good, thank you.
All right, we're giving you a chance to win 6 tickets to Medieval Times. It is where history comes to life with a 30-horse show complete with jousting and sword fighting. Your tickets will also include a 4-course meal along with that 2-hour live show, but you got to have to get the correct answers to this question. What musical instrument, popular in the medieval era, often required 2 people to be played? Was it A, bagpipes, B, a harp, C, the hurdy-gurdy, or D, an organ? What's your name again?
This show has been
Kai.
strange.
Yeah,
She's Kai. I'm Lou.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Lou and Kai are here. I'm Glenn, I was told. Anyway, they're here to help you out if you're not quite sure of the answer.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Do you have any idea?
Lou, not right offhand. Mind helping me?
Yeah, let's help him out.
Yeah, well, we've been kind of giggling because hurdy-gurdy, we didn't know what that
It's
was.
funny.
I looked it up, what it is. It has a little crank on it with some strings.
And then bagpipe. The key here is 2 people. Bagpipes, no. Harp, no. Organ, no. We hurdy-gurdy.
Yes.
Hurdy-gurdy.
And we just like saying hurdy-gurdy too, Mark.
Yeah, whatever that is. Okay, Mark, do you agree or disagree?
I agree.
All right.
Probably smart to do.
Yeah.
Is it C, the hurdy-gurdy?
Yes,
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Well, have a great time, Mark. Have a good weekend, and thank you for watching.
Yeah, we'll be back in about an hour on the KTLA 5 News at 3. Thanks for joining us. And we'll figure out who we are by the time we come back.
Lincoln's birthday means some drivers take Monday off.
We get a look at the ride to work and we get started early in 5 Live traffic.
Plus breaking news and weather Monday morning. Saturday, don't miss the best vacations guide featuring some great destinations to consider when booking your next getaway. Brought to you by Travel Nevada, a world within, a state apart. The best vacations guide, Saturday at 4:30 on KTLA 5.
We created jobs. We raised the minimum wage, and we cut our city's business taxes and passed a tax credit, bringing film jobs back to LA. Together, we've made progress. Together, we can make a lot more.
Eric Garcetti for mayor on March 7th.
Every year, many of our members save hundreds on auto insurance through the Auto Club. Are you with us?
I went through the calculation. I said, wow, that's it?
And after comparing a few other rates, it was clear that AAA was still our best place to be.
I immediately thought of our girls. It could help with their education. It could help with their sport. It meant a lot for our family.
The amount of money I was saving was staggering.
You could save an average of $396 when you switch to auto insurance through the Auto Club. That could be hundreds better than State Farm, Geico, and Allstate. And you could save even more when you combine your auto and homeowners policies too. Best of all, you can rely on the service we're famous for and peace of mind. Plus, get a $100 travel certificate when you switch.
I definitely feel I can rely on AAA no matter what the circumstances.
The Auto Club. So easy, so smart, so switch. Call 888-373-5653 now.
Pastrami
Pastrami, yummy, yummy. Pastrami, yummy, yummy. Want some Swiss cheese? We got that. Rye bread, here's where it's at. On fries, on the dog, on the sandwich. So good it'll make you dance.
Everybody pastrami stand.
Wiener Schnitzel pastrami. Wiener Schnitzel pastrami. Wiener Schnitzel pastrami. Come get some for your mommy.
Party with your mouth with Wiener Schnitzel pastrami 3 different ways. On fries, on a dog, or a sandwich. Only at Wiener Schnitzel.
I have asthma, one of many pieces in my life. So when my asthma symptoms kept coming back on my long-term control medicine, I talked to my doctor and found a missing piece in my asthma treatment with Brio.
Once daily Brio prevents asthma symptoms. Brio's for adults with asthma not well controlled on a long-term asthma control medicine, like an inhaled corticosteroid. Brio won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Brio is specifically designed to open up airways to improve breathing for a full 24 hours. Brio contains a type of medicine that increases the risk of death from asthma problems and may increase the risk of hospitalization in children and adolescents. Brio is not for people whose asthma is well controlled on a long-term asthma control medicine, like an inhaled corticosteroid. Once your asthma is well controlled, your doctor will decide if you can stop Brio and prescribe a different asthma control medicine, like an inhaled corticosteroid. Do not take Brio more than prescribed. See your doctor if your asthma does not improve or gets worse.
Ask your doctor if 24-hour Brio could be a missing piece for you.
Learn more about better breathing at mybrio.com.
Today